Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. What is the left's favorite words? Well, I guess there's two of them. They love saying two specific things about their political opponents, ad hominem attacks, slanderous attacks, instead of debating on the merits. They either call you a fascist or a racist, pretty much any of the isms, and in their mind, argument one, I'm a better person. Ronald Reagan, a while ago, gave a very stark warning. He said something, a quote which shouldn't be taken lightly, and a quote that seems to be manifesting in reality as we speak over the last couple of years. Very similar to Malcolm X's quote, which we've used so many times in so many different videos, but this time, let's use Reagan. It's gonna set the tone for the whole video.
You know, someone very profoundly once said, many years ago, that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says, less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket.
And so he says, if anybody's going to usher in an era of fascism, it's the liberals, who want to put control in the government's hand, tell you what you can and can't do, an unequal balance of power within the hands of bureaucrats. Except, it's even worse now because it's not just bureaucrats, it's bureaucrats mixed in with technocrats. And the era of leftist fascism, technocratic leftist fascism, is upon us, folks. Our overlords in Silicon Valley are overstepping the boundaries on a nearly daily basis, and guess what? Surprise, surprise, it's not just affecting right-wingers anymore. The far left has become the target of the establishment to their utter dismay. How many times did we warn you, Antifa folk? This is exactly what's gonna happen. You're overstepping, you're poking, thinking that these corporations are on your side, but the moment you're no longer politically expedient to them, you're gone. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Twitter doing a mass purge of Antifa accounts across their platform, and like we know how the technocrats in Silicon Valley work, they love doing coordinated assaults. And so if Twitter does it, now Facebook's done it. And so we got to get into all of this, folks. We got to talk about Facebook banning Antifa. We got to talk about what Antifa's doing, the total double standard, the hypocrisy coming from leftist rhetoric. And then we'll talk about some other things, some tangent stories that I find are related. We got a lot to talk about, but before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We're still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let's start off with this piece right over here. Masters of the universe turn on far left. Facebook censors Socialist Workers' Party leftist activists. And man, did we not warn you. I disagree with socialism, I disagree with Antifa, I disagree with communism, far lefties in general, but one thing I never did was cheer and push for a cancel culture that aims to limit free speech and cull certain groups or people from the internet, to deperson them, to deplatform. We have never ever done that. We have laughed in the case where the pendulum swings and the hypocrisy is absolutely hilarious, but all of a sudden there's total outrage when it swings in their direction. But never in my life have I ever requested or wanted anybody to be censored, and I think most Republicans feel that same way. Democrats, however, have cheered and laughed and said good riddance every time a Republican is depersoned. Well, now it's coming for you. Joe Biden told you very plainly,
I beat the socialists. That's how I got elected. That's how I got the nomination. Do I look like a socialist? Look at my career, my whole career. I am not a socialist.
That he's not a socialist. When Kamala Harris was asked, are you coming from a socialist perspective, this was her response.
And is that a socialist or progressive perspective? No.
And so clearly, there was a public policy and a private policy. The public policy was, we love Bernie Sanders, AOC, we're going to create a coalition with the Democrat Party, usher in a new utopic socialist dream for the far left that's voting for us. And the private policy was, the moment we get elected, you'll all be shafted, and the technocrats in Silicon Valley are going to ban all of you. And all of a sudden, we're going to get tough on crime and push for public safety, and the National Guard's going to be sent out, Antifa's going to be arrested, blah, 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 you name it. Turns out, all of that is happening. We've been using this clip so many times over the last couple days because it's just perfect. Socialist Democrats.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
But even with that being said, it's still, of course, incredibly unjust. The Socialist Workers' Party on Facebook did eventually get their main page reinstated. Some of the subsidiary pages are still suspended, but getting your page reinstated is something that doesn't usually happen to Trump supporters on Facebook. And it's not even pages, but conservatives across the world are getting banned left, right, and center by the Facebook moderation inauguration team. Facebook admits banning users for saying they are proud to be English. So first it was learn to code on Twitter. Now if you say that you're proud to be English, you get banned off Facebook. It's a hellscape over there. People complain about YouTube, but YouTube is 1,000 times better than that, let's be completely honest. It's almost as if Mark Zuckerberg is trying to play God or something as the head of Facebook. Look at this right over here. Facebook fascists disable all commenting on new Patriot Party page. They don't want alternative party to replace the modern day GOP. And just think about that. That might seem like a small little mundane thing, but let's really put that into perspective. So back in the day, there was the Federalist Party as well as other political parties as well. And over time, things evolved, and now you have the Republican Party and the Democrats. That's just the natural evolution of politics. Facebook feels they have the ability or the right to stop a new political party from forming. Just think about that. People want to start their new political party, the Patriot Party. They want to make it about positive populism, push forward an agenda of America first and taking care of working class folk within their country. And Facebook wants to stop it. I mean, talk about unconstitutional. Talk about trying to play God, trying to be the puppet master in society. This is backwards, folks. This is textbook fascism, and it's a total double standard. Lefties can pretty much do whatever they want. A couple of them got banned, sure. The pendulum is slowly starting to swing, but the way that Republicans are treated is just so unfair on so many different levels. We know what happened on January 6th. It was pretty much universally condemned by every political talking head out there. Every single independent political commentator on this platform on YouTube unequivocally denounced the violence. I don't know a single person who endorsed it. It happened on January 6th, and then it was gone. People were warning of further escalation of violence on the inauguration, Capitol riots across the country. Conservatives got together, myself included, and actively pushed people to remain calm, to not go out there, to not be extreme, to not get violence. Don't use political violence. As a community, we rallied for peace, and no violence was committed. Overall, a win. Good. Meanwhile, leftists are still ravaging across the nation. They attacked the Oregon Democratic headquarters the day of Joe Biden's inauguration. They were lighting fires and taking over the streets in Seattle, smashing up small businesses. Now we've got this right over here. Leftists break into City Hall in Washington over homeless encampment, assault local journalists. And there's no condemnation. There's nothing happening about it whatsoever. And it's the same folk over and over again. You know, many times we've said specifically how bad we feel for Seattle police officers, Portland police officers, who every single night are arresting these people that are assaulting them, burning down businesses, smashing windows. They arrest them, they're put into the system, and then immediately the revolving door of the courthouse lets them out back on the streets to do the same thing again. That same phenomenon continues, of course, due to dereliction of duty from the Democrat Party and Democrat officials. Nearly half of Portland Antifa Inauguration Day riot arrestees were arrested at riots last year, aka the same people who were ripping up the cities during the whole of 2020 are the same people who are still on the streets committing the same acts of vandalism. It never ends. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, in and out, in and out, in and out. The revolving door of the courthouse for left-wingers remains open. Meanwhile, people who were just standing there on January 6th are being investigated by the FBI. A total double standard. Speaking of more double standards, speaking of the technocrats and their constant disingenuous actions, look at this hilarious piece. Amazon fights against mail-in voting in union decision to preserve vote fidelity. So workers at Amazon are trying to unionize. Jeff Bezos and the leaders at Amazon are trying to stop it as much as they possibly can. But of course, mail-in voting is fine when it helps the Democrats win. When it helps Democrats and Democrat voters try to unionize within the businesses that are benefiting from Democrats winning elections, it's a little bit complicated, but you guys get what I mean. Then mail-in voting, bad. We must preserve vote fidelity. It's unreal. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot write a story this ridiculous. But all I really gotta say is that if you're voting for the same party that's being supported and working in cahoots with the billionaire class, with major corporations who have absolutely no interest in the Constitution or defending the rights, the liberties of average everyday Americans, you're just not on the right side of history. That's my perspective. You can have your perspective, but that's mine and I'm sticking to it. It's eventually gonna backfire and you're gonna realize that you might have signed a deal with the devil just because you're taking the path of least resistance, and it's easy to be on that side because you feel as though you can say what you want with no repercussion, at least for now. It's very easy to be on the side of Jimmy Fallon and Mark Zuckerberg, the same side of celebrity bot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The pendulum will swing. And sometimes it's really not just the pendulum, it's more just the arrogance of these people who feel as though because they're on that winning side, they're untouchable. Like Sarah Silverman said, comedians like to be liberals because we can actually say what we want without repercussion, kind of like this example right over here. Will Wilkinson, 12th of March 2020, cancel culture, LOL. Will Wilkinson, on January 20th, 2021, tweets this. Will Bill Wilkinson, a couple hours later, womp womp womp, fired from his job. The level of arrogance is quite unbelievable. These massive tech oligarchies do not have your best interests at heart, and people just need to start waking up. You're on the wrong side of history. But that's what I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. Now, of course, I gotta get back to work, folks. One more video to record for the day, so I'm gonna do that. But like usual, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one.